and welcome to the Social Scoop, where I, Charlotte Summers, social media manager here at Logical Magic, provide you insights into the social world and take you on a journey on how to utilize social media to the best of your ability. In today's episode, we'll be looking at how we get our social media feeds ready for the festive period. The first point is to understand your audience. As social media managers and digital marketers, we can get very obsessed with the numbers such as followers and impressions. And sometimes that we forget that behind the screens are real people that have similar interests and passions. The first reason why they engaged with us in the first place is because they enjoyed our content. So it's really important that when we look at our content and as a whole, we adopt this mindset of how do we deliver to our community? How do we deliver content that is important and people will engage with? It's why we're seeing a real shift in brands and organisations taking a community-driven approach. This community-first approach has been seen across many brands, but an example I would really like to share today is one of Reffy. Co-founder Jenna Meeks summarised it perfectly when she said, Reffy has built its reputation as an influencer-led brand, but recently we've seen a shift. Our customers have become the best influencers. This campaign was in the form of inviting their community members to an inclusive retreat. Traditionally, we would have seen influencers invited to that event, and it would have been led as a PR event. But now we are seeing community members and those customers being the best influencers. Not only did that retreat promote its products, but it's promoted its community. And now that community feels part of the brand's growth and a part of the brand's journey. It creates and fosters this real connection between consumer and brand. This shift in strategy is not only being adopted by Reffy, and it really highlights the change in the industry, where people, the audience, are wanting real, genuine connections. We're tired of seeing this perfection, and we want to see the genuine, authentic individuals that make up community and the real world that we live in. It also pays homage to the impact that your community and audience has. We see all these amazing brands grow and focus on their followers and want more and more numbers. But the reality is, you only get those numbers if you understand your audience. And it's really understanding this shift and making sure that your community is at the front of your content. It's really important when looking at your audience that you do the following 3 steps. It's important that you know who you're targeting. Social media has in-app tools such as Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, and other platforms are available. All have in-app analytic tools that you can utilize to understand your current demographic. What this showcases is that who you are currently engaging with, who your current audience is, but it also shows you who is missing. And this is really important if you're driving a campaign to target XYZ, that you can see organically that your audience isn't curated of these individuals. And therefore, you can look to how you build campaigns to generate this audience. The next step would be to test media types. It's really important that when you test media types, you look at the different types that your audience engages with. For example, on Instagram, your audience may react better to Instagram Reels, whereas on Pinterest, they may interact to infographics. It's testing and learning different media types, but also listening and understanding the metrics that you're seeing to understand how to build new content that fits your audience and their user habits. And the most important recommendation, and one that I really hope you take away today, is become a part of your community. When building a community, it's important that you are part of that community. It's important because you are then an active member. People aren't just seeing this one-way conversation, it's a two-way conversation. And the best way to look at social media is that you're creating these genuine, authentic relationships. This isn't me saying blur the line between brand and consumer, but it's allowing you to open up and try different media types, reply to comments, which, side note, are a great way to encourage engagements. It's making sure that you are not just talking to your consumer and audience, but they are also talking back. And you are having these two-way conversations that really generate this fostering community of authentic and genuine reactions. So why does this matter? Obviously today we're talking about the festive season, but what I really want to bring your attention to is if you don't know your audience now, it doesn't matter any point of the year, any campaign, you will never connect with them. And that seems quite harsh of me to say. And sometimes that brutality is needed, because when we launch a campaign, we will invest so much time in the creatives and the messaging, but what we forget is the audience and the community are so important. And if we have not done that research, and if we have not listened to our community, we won't see these results that we want. So make sure that this is the first step that you take in your social media planning, and make sure that your audience, if it's not the correct audience, there are steps in place, whether that be content or paid media, that you're looking at to build your audiences out. Moving on to finding the right platform. In this diagram here, we have Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest, and LinkedIn. We also can see that Gen Z, Millennials, Gen X, and Baby Boomers are all utilising different forms of social media. In here, we can see the top 4 platforms and the fastest growing platform. These insights from GW Insights really showcase what platforms are on the rise for certain demographics, but also what platforms are consistently being used by different demographics. A real highlight in this is that TikTok for Gen X and Baby Boomers is consistently on the rise. I have many discussions around TikTok where people believe it's just Gen Z using it, but there has been a real shift in users that showcase a wide range of age and demographics. Important takeaways from here showcase that if you have now found your audience and you know where you want to target and you know which demographics, this understanding of what platforms they exist on can really support your social media planning. So for example, if you had a video campaign that you were solely going to launch on TikTok, I would recommend from this graph looking at YouTube and how you create long form content or utilize YouTube Shorts. Or for example, if you're looking at Gen Z with a static campaign showcasing infographics and carousels, why not look at Pinterest as well? Because from this insights here, we can see Pinterest is a growing platform for that demographic. As a whole, it's so important that you understand where your community exists, because once you have your community and the platform, you unlock this unlimited potential. So we now move on to content creation and planning. And I'm sure this is where a lot of you are excited to delve into. And I hope in this section, you get some key takeaways on how to take your content to that next level. So some insight into social media at Christmas. Christmas is an oversaturated time on social media, with millions of campaigns going live. I really want to give some context into what social media looks like at festive time. So some user habits. 70% of people shop online at Christmas. 80% of shoppers during Christmas are influenced by the internet. 55% of users found that Facebook was most influential when purchasing, and 39% of users found Instagram to be most influential when purchasing. And also, 48% of Gen Z will do their holiday shopping on social media this holiday season. Some further insights. Gen X spend the most during this festive season, where Baby Boomers spend the least. So what does this all mean? Essentially, this means that social media is a really important part of the user journey when purchasing Christmas gifts. But it also means that different users use different platforms, different users have different expendable cash. It's really highlighting the importance of aligning your platforms with your content. So for example, if you was looking to target Baby Boomers, our recommendation would be to look at Facebook and look at very niche to the point campaigns, as we know they don't spend a lot of money this season compared to other demographics. So it's making sure that our campaigns are straight to the point and there's no fluff, and these individuals will know exactly what they're purchasing to make sure that that user journey from A to B is a clear, condensed journey. So I've given some context here on what your plan should look from September to December. So it's important that when you leave this call today, you start planning. You start planning and looking at your audience. Build out new audiences targeting your current, your broad audience, so who you want to target, and those audiences that you know exist and want to pull in. You should always start with a planning session when any content. So for example, if you're targeting Gen X, there's a campaign around Gen X. If you're targeting millennials, there's a target campaign around millennials. You change the copy, you change the media type to suit the demographic you're fitting and to suit the platform. So outline that full customer journey with themes and different content types. So for example, right now we're in autumn, so my recommendation would be to really utilize this autumnal language. And then as we move into October, November, start switching that language to include more Christmas mentions and festivities. As we move towards the end of September, going into October, it's really important that you activate these plans. Don't wait. Now is the time to get in your consumers' minds and really generate this organic and paid efforts. So organically, create content that showcases your products. And from a paid perspective, look at building awareness. Look at these broad audiences to bring everyone in to your organic campaigns. Really see how organic and paid can work together instead of having two different mindsets. We've got some important dates coming up in November, such as Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, and Cyber Monday. Here is a great time to look at how your organic social can really work with your paid social. So if you are providing, for example, a product offering with a discounted service for Black Friday, showcase the products organically that you're going to be providing these discounts on, and paid, creating awareness campaigns around the products and what they do. It's again bringing this whole user journey together. And as we move to November, going into December, it's really important that you adopt this test, learn and adapt mentality, which I'll get into. And in end of November to December, I really recommend amplifying the seasonal messaging. Go hard. Make sure that everything has this seasonal messaging. And when I say go hard, please take it with a pinch of salt. Do not oversaturate your content. From an accessibility point of view, you want to ensure that if you're including emojis in your content, that you don't overload it, because those using a screen reader will have emojis read back to them. So again, it's going Christmassy, but it's refining it, looking at accessibility points such as emojis, and making sure that your content fits your user. Here are some best times to post on social media. This is a very generic overview of social media. And what's really important, and a key takeaway here, is that if your content doesn't align with your consumer, it doesn't matter if you post on peak times, because the content isn't suited for your user. So Buzzsprout here has provided some really great insights into the best and worst times to post. Generically, Sundays are always one of those days that you don't typically post on, and midweek being the most active and engaging times. A key takeaway here is to make sure that if you miss these slots, don't worry, please don't panic, you can still post. It's just showing you sometimes that there are heightened users on different times. But the main point here is to align your social media efforts to your community. In-app social media tools provide you insights to when your community is most active. So I would take the insights here today on your screen and also go away and look at your analytics and collectively figure out the best times to post. During the holiday season, we see many brands and organisations really push their promotions. So we see our feeds become excessively inundated with promotional content, with memes, with so many different types of gift guides and so on. What this really does is it creates a distrust within consumer to brand, because a lot of this time this content hasn't always been thought out, and it's essentially this mass hysterics of we need to post content, we need to get eyes. What I'm telling you today is that to slow down and make sure that your content, again, goes back to your community. I want to bring you back to the community-driven approach and give you some really important insights to around how this community-driven approach can really impact your social media at Christmas. So Tagbox found that 70% of people trust images taken from people like them over brand created images. What this really highlights is that 70% of individuals want to see people like them. Diversity in your campaigns is so important. So ensure that when you're creating a campaign, again, the audience is in mind. You have diversity, you're accessible, you're making sure that your content can be consumed by everyone and it has a meaning. Another really great example is 61% of users engage with an ad if it's user generated content. What this highlights is that shift in community focus and highlights that you need to entrust your community and use content creators to create engaging content that represents not only your community, but the real world. And when you're creating paid social, you're utilising these pieces of content to see the full campaign as a whole. Another really great insight from Tag Social is that people rely on others for shopping recommendations because peer recommendations are seen as trustworthy, authentic, reliable. In fact, 9 out of 10 people trust peer advice when making a purchase. I may sound like a broken record, and that's okay in my world, because it's really important that I get across today that your festive period is filled with user-generated content and it's filled with your community. If you want to create genuine connections and stand out from your feed, your community is your strongest asset. And if you don't have a strong community, you can look at those within the community and reach out. Content creators are a great way to look at your community and build content out. An example approach of this is looking at your organic social. On organic social, I recommend to post 3 to 4 times per week. Use a mixture of user-generated content. So that could be community-driven content. And like I said, if you don't have a strong community, reach out to your community, encourage them to take pictures, create competitions with hashtags, create giveaways with potential user content coming out of it. It's really important that you look at your content and look at what you want and see how you can build a plan to get that content. If you are struggling with your community-focused content, you can also rely on content creators. Content creators are a great way and an affordable way to create content around your product or service. There is this shift back to an influencer campaign, but again, it's creating these real-life genuine connections. So if you don't have a strong community and you're looking to build this is okay. Look at those influencer campaigns and content creators who can really show these genuine and authentic connections and ask them to create content for you. That is a separate session to today. And in the future, we'll go into how you manage these content creators and influencer campaigns. Also look at your product offering. What are you offering? What do people need to buy from you? What is trending on TikTok, Instagram? Utilize social media and see if you can become part of the trends. Not every trend you need to be involved with. If one aligns to your brand, it's a great time to get involved. And lastly, look at those behind the scenes moments. Is your office having a Christmas get together that you can share? Are you offering a different service this Christmas? Really showcase the behind the scenes of how you get to A to B. People love to be nosy on social media and they love to see these journeys. From a paid perspective, you want to have a mixture of awareness and driving traffic to a specific landing page. Your awareness campaign can look at building awareness around a specific product or service. And this is great in ways you can build out audiences to target your current demographic, your potential demographic, your dream demographic, and those who are engaged shoppers online. It's really key that you outline your different audiences and target them with different product offerings on different types of platforms. Going back to the mindset of community first and platforms are really important. Also look at your website traffic. Make sure that you're driving people to a specific landing page to give them context. People are using this time to research around Christmas gifts. So make sure that you're giving them all the context required for them to buy that purchase. And additional paid media options look like Meta Catalog, the TikTok shop, making sure that your products are available to buy on social media if you want to ensure quick purchases. The next page is test, learn and adapt. It's really important when we look at different media types, we know what platforms they exist on. So I've given examples of the different media types and how you can test and learn on different platforms. So if we take video to start with, I recommend any video campaign should look at TikTok, Facebook and Instagram. And here we look at that user-generated content, so examples of your products or services being utilised. So for example, I'm recently engaged and when I proposed to my fiance, it was really hard to buy a ring. I did a lot of research on social media and I wanted to make sure that I was buying the right ring for her. Here, what I did was use social media and I looked at those different product offerings. What I found the most helpful were those gift guides of 5 ways to say I love you to your partner. This is the perfect time to create these gift guides and make sure that your product offering is on full display when it comes to your organic social. Social media has adopted a search mentality, and what this means for users is that when they're searching for specific keywords, they'll be generated a bunch of content that aligns their search results. If you're targeting rings, in my example, if you're targeting a service or a sport such as badminton, so on, you're making sure that your copy is included and you're organically coming up for potential search terms. So it's adopting an SEO mindset to your social media. And on video content, this mindset is really important. So this test, learn and adapt for social media when it comes to video would include your copy of what you're including your copy to be. It would include the video, so in terms of length, so short form to long form. It would include captions. Would you burn your captions onto your video or upload them as a separate file? And as well, the music, what music you are utilizing. Platforms such as TikTok provide this music library that you can utilize and really help trend your videos. When we move on to static in my world is images, design-led assets, and singular types of media form. So here I would look at Instagram, Pinterest, and Facebook. An example I will take here is that Pinterest is the top growing platform for Gen Z, as we've already established. So here I would look at creating mood boards and really highlighting those products available to create the perfect Christmas setting. Static in my world is static images, design-led assets, and those singular-based assets such as infographics. I would recommend looking at Instagram, Pinterest, and Facebook here, with the example content type being product shots. So really highlighting the products that are available. And if it's a service, really highlighting that service and what it means to get involved. Here, I would promote and really tease those discount and vouchers available. If you're doing giveaways, static image is the best way to deliver these. If you've got a discount coming up, create this tease around it and make sure that your users are aware of what's coming up. And then lastly, carousels. Here, I would look to TikTok, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and Instagram. I'll take Pinterest as an example here, with Gen Z being the fastest growing demographic on the platform. Here on Pinterest, we can create this product offering and really invoke this festive inspiration. Pinterest is known for its mood boards, so if you have a product or service which is perfect for the Christmas season, I really recommend creating these different ranges of mood boards. So, for example, a mood board how to create the perfect Christmas setting, a mood board about the best sports to play at Christmas, a mood board around the different types of products that you have. There are so many unlimited potentials that you can do here, and today I'm just providing a really generic overview of how you adapt and change your media to fit the platform and the demographic. So some examples of these different media types and what they look like. Emirates here have utilised a static image, and they have looked at creating a Christmas tree out of a plane. Obviously, we know Emirates is an aviation company. They're adjusting their content to fit Christmas. It's a really clever way to not only highlight a product and their service in a Christmas festive spirit. And these kind of like festive, kind of fun ways of showcasing Christmas do really well and help engage your consumer. It wouldn't be Christmas without mentioning Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola are renowned for their Christmas ads, but each year they switch it up. They provide a sense of familiarity as well as new content. Last year, we saw Coca-Cola and the Real Magic, sparking this genuine connection that we feel at Christmas of love, joy, and that family spirit. It really invokes the user, and here we can see they really understand their audience and who they are trying to target. And lastly, Calvin Klein provided a really great influencer campaign showcasing the different products available using their hashtag MyCalvins to make sure that people feel they're a part of this community and they're a part of this movement in their MyCalvins. So what I hope you take away today is how to really push forward your community first approach, those content and planning tips, as well as the best times to post, my mindset into why community is so important, and as well the landscape of what social media looks like at Christmas. On the screen there is a QR code that you can subscribe to our newsletter to hear more from Logic and Magic, and I've also included my sources that you can go away and do some further reading. Thank you for joining me for episode 1, and I can't wait to see how this series expands. Thank you.